My dear comrades, we are now a mere few days away from the end of the 12th Kelitai's term, and I thought it important to update you on the progress we in my office have made thus far. Before I start, I'd just like to remind all of you that the Kelita terms are short, and thus we can only make slow and steady progress on a policy by policy basis. I'll start by talking about the main issue I've faced thus far, the Premier Term Limit Act. I proposed the Premier Term Limit Act as one of the first pieces of legislation of the 12th Kelitai. However, it took us time to vote on it as I eventually rescinded the original proposal in exchange for the revised Premier Term Limit Act, otherwise known as the RPTLA. After a bit of negotiating with my peers during the Kalita's previous session, we came to an agreement on a compromise proposal. I want to emphasize that this proposal had the support of the entire Kelitai except Lenja Yumanov, although I also cannot speak for the inactive members who, with all due respect, showed to not have been participating in either discussions or votes. But what matters is this act, which sought to affect and reform a position within the Kelitai, had the support of the Kelitai itself. We were able to pass the RPTLA through the Kelitai and held a referendum in it, as you may know. However, unfortunately, due to both low turnout, with the referendum having one of the lowest since October, and perhaps other factors, the bill failed to reach the 75% threshold required for it to become law, and I find that very disappointing. I hereby pledge that I will continue discussions on the RPTLA in the next term. While some of you may call it yapping and others might say I should just take the L, I believe it is imperative that we find a way to pass these term limits for the betterment of our democracy and for the sake of ensuring it can survive for generations to come. Under this video, I have posted a Google form for you, the citizens, to state any problems or disagreements you might have with the RPTLA, and I'll make sure to answer them in either DMs or in public chats. I will allow you to specify where you'd prefer me to respond. Now, I'd also like to focus on the Kelitai's other successes this term. We passed the Big Beautiful Bill, the first one. I think, well, admittedly, most of it is in a way redundant. It gave a lot of minor fixes and just general quality of life improvements that both the criminal code and whatever it sought to change needed. And I highly anticipate when the next Big Beautiful Bill will arrive, and that's meant to be the last one. Additionally, we have introduced regulations on government advisors, and thus the bureaucracy is no longer bloated. However, I'll admit we haven't made any other meaningful progress thus far, but I do promise you that we will reach it in the next term.